The New York Islanders played well in game one, but could not come away with a victory. What will it take to change that for game two? We'll discuss that and a whole lot more coming up on today's Locked On Islanders podcast.
You're Locked On Islanders, your daily podcast on the New York Islanders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, everybody, to the Monday edition of the Locked On Islanders podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I want to thank everyone who makes Locked On Islanders your first listen every day. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts so you can get new episodes as soon as they drop. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150 win or lose. So visit FanDuel.com/locked-on to get started. We have got a busy show today. Lots to talk about here in playoff time. But first, if there's something Islanders related on your mind, if you have a question, a comment, maybe a topic you'd like us to discuss on a future episode, you could email us at lockedonislanders@gmail.com. And if you leave your first name and where you're from, we're happy to talk about whatever's on your mind and mention you on the show when we do so. You could also follow the show on X at Locked On Isles, and you could follow me, Gil Martin, on X at Ice Wars, NYR, VSNYI. We'll keep you up to date on all things Islanders all season long, and I am live tweeting during nearly every Islanders home and road game. So make sure you join me for some instant insight and analysis, and it's great to talk Islanders hockey with you, game time or anytime. You know, how many times have we heard our parents or our grandparents or mentors tell us so much of life is how you look at it? And I think that is apropos of the New York Islanders in game one of this playoff series against the Carolina Hurricanes. The Islanders lose the game 3-1. And yet so much of it is, how do you look at this? And I guess if you're an optimist, you can look at this game and say, well, the New York Islanders, certainly in the second period and in parts of the first and third, outplayed the Carolina Hurricanes on the road in Carolina. They outshot the Hurricanes. They outchanced the Hurricanes as far as quality scoring opportunities were concerned. You may even make an argument that 5-on-5, and I think this is generally true for more of the game, 5-on-5, the New York Islanders were the better team. And you could sit there and say, you know what? These are encouraging signs for the New York Islanders. The fact that they went into Carolina, to Raleigh, playing the team with the third best record in the NHL in the Carolina Hurricanes, a team that eliminated them in the playoffs just a year ago, and went toe-to-toe with them and outplayed them for long stretches of this game. That means, you know what? This team is capable of getting the job done. And I think that's true. I think that, the Islanders showed that they can stay with the Hurricanes. And so much of what Carolina does, their defensemen do try to create scoring opportunities, and they do sometimes pinch in deep. So, defensive positioning becomes paramount. And we know, everydayers know, we've discussed how the Islanders, that's an area they improved under Patrick Waugh, where under Lane Lambert, very often the Islanders were retreating a little bit too much in their man-to-man coverage, so that it gave a little too much time and space to the opposition and created too many scoring opportunities and too many situations where the Islanders just could not clear the zone. And, Carolina pressures the puck carrier, and their forecheck is aggressive. Their defensemen, as I mentioned, do tend to pinch and get involved, and that'll make it tough on the Islanders. But to their credit, in game one. The Islanders managed to go out there and find a way to minimize that. And even though Carolina had a lot of shot attempts, most of those shot attempts did not get through. And I think that is huge for the New York Islanders when you sort of take a look at, all of the opportunities that this team had in game one. I think it's vital. I mean, the shot attempts were 74 for Carolina, 59 for the Islanders. And Carolina averages about 70 shot attempts per game. But the Islanders blocked a lot of shots, 22 shots to be exact. And they managed to keep the other team on the perimeter. Kyle Palmieri, there's a lot of positives, Palms said after the game. It sucks you're down one, but I think realistically we have a lot to draw on as we refocus and get ready for game two on Monday. They really sling it. There's usually a D-man or someone on the weak side to pick up rebounds. The more we can make those shots and puck placements harder on them, the better off we'll be trying to get pucks back and break out of the zone. Anders Lee, I thought we played a really good hockey game. We played a really simple game and created some good looks. And Anders Lee, Kyle Palmieri, both right about that. And that's the optimist way of looking at what happened in game one. Here's the pessimist's way of looking at it. And I think there's a little bit of truth to both sides. The pessimist would say this: Carolina did not play their A game in game one. And yet, in spite of being outshot, in spite of being outplayed for big chunks of it, in spite of not dictating the style of the game and the tempo of the game, they won. And the Islanders did play one of their better games. They may not have that much more to give as far as, controlling the tempo and controlling the way the game's flow goes. And yet, the fact that the Islanders couldn't score, couldn't finish, couldn't get enough done to get pucks behind Frederik Andersen. If Carolina goes into game two and plays better, which we know they're capable of doing, do the Islanders have another gear to match that? Do the Islanders have the ability to finish better than what they did in game one? And you could talk all you want about puck luck and bounces, and there were some bad bounces in game one. But you also have to understand that over the long run, bounces tend to even out. And when those bounces do even out, the key is not just, you got a bad bounce or you got a good bounce. The key is to take advantage of those opportunities. And that is something the Islanders struggled with in game one and struggled all season long. They had chances, and Patrick Roy admitted as much. He said this: I'm encouraged because I thought we played a really solid game. We did a lot of good things out there. It was a hard-fought game, but we had our chances, and I'm frustrated because we had our chances. There's key moments in the game. That moment where the goalie tripped on their defenseman's skate, and we had two good shots on that. That could have been goals right there to take a 2-1 lead, but we came up short. All year we've been resilient, and that's the moment to continue to do that. So resilience is going to be important. This game is going to be vital for the Islanders. You don't want to go back to Long Island down 2-0 if you could help it. And the question is, A, do Islander fans view game one through the optimist lens or the pessimist lens? And how are the Islanders going to handle it? Will they use game one to build confidence for game two? Or will they be a little discouraged because they played one of their better games and still came up short? We have got a lot more to discuss on today's show. We'll have a little bit more about some of the things the Islanders need to do. We'll have our Islanders birthday of the day, a Swedish center who was with the Islanders in the early 2010s. Let's see if you can guess who that is. And we'll also answer one of your mailbag questions, something that a few people have commented on and talked about. So I did want to address it. We've got all that and a lot more coming up on today's Locked On Islanders podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. It's playoff time in the NBA and the NHL. Baseball is in full swing, and FanDuel is your place to bet on every game. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150, win or lose. You can bet on everything from slap shots to home runs to slam dunks, all on an app that is safe, secure, and easy to use. And hey, Islander fans, check out all the odds and prop bets that you can make for Game 2 tonight between the Islanders and the Carolina Hurricanes, or maybe you want to bet on who's going to win the series. You'll get great odds. Check it all out on the FanDuel app. What are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to make your first bet an automatic win. FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Today's episode is also brought to you by Policy Genius. Policy Genius is the country's leading online insurance marketplace. It saves you time and money so you can provide your family with a financial safety net starting today. With Policy Genius, you can find life insurance policies that start at just $292 per year for $1 million worth of coverage. Some options even offer same-day approval and avoid unnecessary medical exams. Policy Genius helps you compare your options from top companies, and their team of licensed experts is on hand to help talk you through it. You can easily compare quotes from America's top insurers in just a few clicks and find your lowest price. Check life insurance off your to-do list in no time with Policy Genius. Head to policygenius.com/lockedonnhl or click on the link in the description to get your free life insurance quotes and see how much you could save. That's policygenius.com/lockedonnhl, policygenius.com/lockedonnhl. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Have to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Well, make the switch to Locked On Sports Today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I wanted to address something that a lot of fans have been complaining about. This one comes from Jennifer from Rockville Center, but gosh, on the YouTube comments and elsewhere, we have gotten a lot of people questioning this, so I wanted to address it a little bit. Hi, Gil. I know you're expected to take the goalie out when you're losing with minutes to go, especially in a playoff game. But I say, let's try something different. Let's just play it out 5-on-5. They almost always let in an empty net goal. Their 5-on-4 play stinks. So why would they rather play 6-on-5? They play best 5-on-5, and I think they would have a better chance of scoring that way. Thoughts? Really think about it. Remember the definition of insanity. Well, Jennifer from Rockville Center, first of all, thank you so much for the email. Really appreciate it. Look, couple of things about this. You're right that the Islanders do play better 5-on-5 as a general rule. You're also correct that here's how I'll break it down. You're right that NHL teams are expected to take the goalie out when they're losing with a couple of minutes to go. The difference is that Patrick Roy tends to gamble a little bit more readily than many of his contemporaries. And so it's not unusual if the Islanders are down 2 goals with 5 minutes left in the game to see Wah pull either Semyon Varlamov or Ilya Sorokin, whichever one is in goal, and to try to really push it. And look, Jennifer, you're right. More often than not, you're giving up that empty net goal. And I agree with you in the sense that I think Patrick Waugh likes to gamble a little too early when he decides to pull his goalie. And that's where I think the Islanders get into trouble, especially because they are a team that struggles, as you said, 5-on-4 and 6-on-5. Uh, and I think, they give up far too many empty net goals. When you do it with a minute and a half, maybe 2 minutes max left in a game, it's super desperation time, okay? You're just basically saying, we're going to lose most likely if we don't do something desperate. It's the equivalent of the Hail Mary in football, okay? So you give it a shot knowing that even, if the puck goes in, well, you're most likely going to lose anyway. But when you do it with 3, 4, 5 minutes left, even if you're down 2 or 3 goals, you're really increasing the chances of giving up that empty net goal and ending your, granted, slim opportunities to tie the game or get back in the game earlier than you maybe otherwise would. So I think, no, the Islanders are not going to stop pulling their goalie. But I think there is a strong argument to be made. And I think we will see Patrick Waugh be a little more conservative in the playoffs, where you wait until you get closer to that 1 minute, minute and a half, 2 minutes max mark, and you don't see it with 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 3.5 minutes as often in the playoffs. But Jennifer, as much as you and I often don't like it, that's one of Patrick Waugh's sort of things that he's known for as a coach, that he doesn't mind pulling the goalie early and taking that chance. So, as an overall philosophy, as long as Patrick Waugh is behind the bench, I don't think it's necessarily going to change. But, as they say, one never knows, and stranger things have happened. So let's see how this gets handled. They gave up the empty net goal in game 1, but again, they didn't pull the goalie until the final 2 minutes in a 1-goal game, which is more in line with what most NHL teams do. Still no word as of right now on J.G. Pageau. He is still officially listed as day-to-day. So I get the feeling he will once again be a game-time decision. And check out our account on X, whether it's Ice Wars NYR vs NYI or Locked on Islanders. And I will, as soon as I hear something about Pageau's status, I will pass that along, and hopefully he'll be ready to go, because it is vital for the New York Islanders, in my mind, to get J.G. Pageau back in the lineup. Why? Because playoff time is when the little things that J.G. Pageau does well matter more. You need a player like Pageau to shut down the other team's top line. You need a player like J.G. Pageau to win faceoffs, which are even more important. Look, the Islanders did not do well in game 1 in the faceoff circle, and part of the reason was you didn't have J.G. Pageau, and the Canes are a good team in the faceoff dot. So getting Pageau there, that can be, an equalizer there that makes it, limits the Hurricanes' advantage, or maybe even gives the Islanders an advantage. And then obviously the penalty kill, which has been struggling all year. But J.G. Pageau is one of your better penalty killers on this roster. And look, Pageau was a part of the penalty kill last year when the penalty kill was pretty darn good. I don't think he lost his ability to kill penalties, but for whatever reason, it's just not working this year. But look, you want JG Pageau out there to try to increase your chances of killing off a penalty. So we'll see whether or not Pageau is available. It'll be important for the New York Islanders, and hopefully they will find a way to get it done. We have got more to get to on today's show. We'll talk a little bit more about Game 2 and what the Islanders need to do to turn the tables and even the series. We've got that plus our Islanders birthday of the day and more coming up on today's Locked On Islanders podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. And look, Game Time is now an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, and that makes getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. They've got killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, the view from your seat, and their lowest price guarantee. So Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. And look, you can get flash deals that save you even more with exclusive in-app deals on select seats ahead of the game or the event. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Game Time, the app today. Last-minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV and the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today, now available on the free Fire TV channels app. So one question that immediately comes to mind as far as tonight's Game 2 is the goaltenders. And I think this is a question that's going to be asked really, throughout the series. Who should the Islanders start in goal? Now, we don't have confirmation yet, but as of the time of this recording, Sunday night, the expected goaltenders for Game 2 are Frederik Andersen again for Carolina. No surprise there, as Andersen was clearly the difference maker in Game 1 for Carolina. And then the expected goalie for the Islanders, Semyon Varlamov. And I would stick with Varley. Varley played well in Game 1. He made 23 saves and 25 shots, only gave up the 2 goals. That's a .920 save percentage. You show me a goalie with a .920 save percentage, I'll show you a goalie who wins more games than he loses. So I would stick with Varley. Again, if he has a bad game, I wouldn't hesitate to change even mid-game if necessary to Ilya Sorokin. I think Varley could handle that quite well under the circumstances, and I think Sorokin would be ready to rock and roll if he gets his number called, whether it's midway through Game 2 or the start of Game 3. Either way, I think I would stick with Varley at least one more game and see how the chips fall. Another thing the Islanders need to do, and I could be very general and say, okay, they need to score more because they only got 1 goal, even though they had 34 shots. Okay, yeah, that's true. But who has to score more? Horvat, Bo Horvat, Matthew Barzal, Brock Nelson, Kyle Palmieri. These are your 4 big goal scorers on this team. These are the guys that are the closest thing you have to snipers. These are the consistent top 4, forwards on your team, and you need more from them. Yeah, it's great to get goals from your bottom 6, or maybe in the Islanders' case, bottom 8. Kyle McLean's goal was great to see, but if you want to win in the NHL, you want to win a playoff series, your best players have to be your best players. And it was great that Bo and Barzy each had 5 shots on goal. And we know Kyle Palmieri had a couple of really good scoring chances, but those are the guys you need to cash in the most. Those 4 guys, Horvat, Barzal, Nelson, Palmieri, those are the guys you need to create pressure and actually finish. And I think, having these guys get a couple, they'll squeeze their sticks a little bit less and maybe be a little more relaxed and a little more productive. I think scoring first would be vital for the New York Islanders in game 2 to quiet down the crowd and to really sort of give the Islanders a confidence boost offensively and to just sort of, take away that air of invincibility or near invincibility that the Carolina Hurricanes have had. And then the other thing is this: the Islanders cannot take their foot off the gas. They have to look at the second period from game 1 as their blueprint for success. Keep blocking shots. Keep coming back and keeping the Hurricanes on the perimeter. Do not let their defensemen pinch and get quality scoring opportunities. Play your game as well as you can play it. And, as far as the puck luck is concerned, like I said, those things tend to even out, and I think they will even out for the Islanders. You make your own puck luck sometimes, and the Islanders have to keep on keeping on. Hopefully we get a little bit better officiating in game 2. Some of those penalty calls in game 1, man, they looked embellished, but can't blame the referees for the loss. You still need to kill penalties when you take them and score on the power play when you get the chance. Islanders have got to stay out of the box. We know that. Hopefully it's something they'll be able to do. Time now. Oh, by the way, game 2 of this series, 7:30 Eastern time tonight. And don't forget, you could hear every minute of this game on SiriusXM. Just go to the SXM app. You'll hear the Islanders' hometown broadcast. Just do a search for Islanders. So time now for our Islanders' birthday of the day. And today is the 35th birthday of former Islanders center David Olstrom. The 6'2", 195-pound Swede, a 4th-round pick of the Isles back in 2008. Started his career in Sweden, but came over to Bridgeport for 2010-2011 and played part of 2011-2012 and 2012-2013 with the Islanders, and then went over to Russia and Sweden and Switzerland and Germany after that. Actually was still active in hockey up until 2022-2023 when he finished his career in Germany. Only played 49 NHL games, all of them with the Islanders, 6 goals, 13 points, 12 penalty minutes, and played in 3 postseason games, 3 playoff games with the Isles in 2013, and had an assist in those games. January 21st, 2013 was Olstrom's one of his better games as an Islander at the old barn, the Nassau Veterans Memorial Coliseum. Anders Lindback is the goalie for the visiting Tampa Bay Lightning. Evgeny Nabokov, the netminder for the Islanders. And in this game, the Islanders go up 3-0 in the second period. And early in the third, our Islanders' birthday of the day, David Olstrom scored his first goal of the year. Keith Aucoin and Travis Hamonic with the assist. That made it 4-0 Islanders. But the Islanders had to hold on as 3 goals, Steven Stamkos, Benoit Pouliot, and Martin St. Louis scored for Tampa Bay in the third, but Nabokov kept them off the board, and the Islanders held on for a 4-3 win in this game. David Olstrom, a goal. He was a +1. He had 2 penalty minutes, had 5 shots on goal, which incidentally did tie him with 3 other players for the team lead in this game. But he had 5 shots on goal in only 9 minutes and 27 seconds worth of ice time, and he had the game winner. So a strong performance there by David Olstrom. He is our Islanders' birthday of the day. I want to thank everyone for making Locked On Islanders your first listen every day. Everydayers, tomorrow on the show, we'll have our key takeaways from Game 2, and we will put more of this into the big picture. Hopefully, we'll have an injury update on JG Pageau and a lot more. Want to wish everybody celebrating a very happy and healthy Passover. Hope everyone enjoys the holiday, and hopefully we'll have some better news to talk about in Game 2. So great to be in the playoffs, and I love this time of year. So until then, have a great day, everybody. Stay safe, and of course, let's go Islanders.